Welcome back.
Hello. Welcome to Word Up.
Welcome to Word Up. I am Bronagh Diamond.
And I am David Doherty-Jebb.
Welcome.
It's a gay hyphen, not a proper posh one.
It's not a posh hyphen, it's a homosexual hyphen.
Sorry, I just used your joke, but I love that.
But you were me.
Yeah,
so that's
I was
okay.
you. I was you.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
That's it.
I wasn't. I was in character because I
You
was
were in character because you were me. Yeah, you weren't. Yeah, see.
How have you all been? Is okay? Just a quick reminder that my play will be on not next week, but the following week in the Mac. Get your tickets now before they're all sold out, because it could possibly be by the time this goes out.
What did you do for Ireland, Dad?
What did you do for Ireland, Dad?
A very different play if it was set in 1980s Germany. What did you do for Germany, Dad? It would be a
yeah.
very different play.
Can you imagine? Actually, here's a shout.
What did you
If
do?
other playwrights want to go about and do that kind of thing,
you
that would be
imagine?
great. It'd be very, very good.
I think about things like that. I think imagine that was your granda.
I know.
What do you do during the war, granda? Like we can, depending on your background here, you go, what did you do during the war, granda? It's like,
What did you do?
Oh, stormed the beach at Normandy. And it's like out there, and they're like, what did you do? What did you do during the war, granddad? And he's like, I was.
I am asking the question.
we didn't do much. It was a long time ago. I don't. What do you want for lunch?
Don't you know I am not disinheriting you?
I don't want to say anything.
Yeah. So yeah, we went a wee bit dark there, but we actually are in the par for telling people about dark thoughts and feelings today. I have been using this phrase for about a year or two now since I read it. And David said it as well today. So
Sean
that was
brought
the
it up.
same.
Sean was like, this was Sean's suggestion, and then you were like, oh, God, I've been using that word for ages now, and it is the Morbs.
The Morbs.
This is definitely one of those words. You know the way sometimes like we'll use a word, and it's generally a word that maybe you haven't really heard, but this is one of those really words where like, either you know what you, that sounds stupid, either you know what you don't, but if you're in on the thing, you will. Yeah. Lots of people will know what this is.
See, if I even said to you, an unwitting person, a propos of nothing.
Yes.
I have a desperate case of the Morbs today.
You
would know what it means, because morbid, sad, like.
Yes, well, that's.
And this is actually an antiquated phrase.
Victorian age.
It's a Victorian age phrase that people would use.
Victorian Gen Z slang.
Yeah, Tessie's come down with a terrible case of the Morbs.
Can't go.
Gen Z slang from the Victorian age, yeah.
She can't come out. Jacinta has got a terrible case of the Morbs, and she's got the vapours.
Yeah.
She's gone to her room.
She's vaping in her room.
She's fallen with a terrible case.
That's the olden days vaping.
She's up there with the own way. Oh God, love her.
We've the own way all over.
Oh jeez, sorry I didn't come down last week.
Like that's what we do here.
I have the own. I've awful own way.
Yeah.
I've a general malaise.
Malaise. I'm not full of joy de vivre anymore.
No, the Morbs. I think it does.
Morbs.
And it sounds.
But people get it, because I would say, like, for example, if Aoife said to me, like, you all right, how you coping today? And I'd be like, oh, just have a wee dose of the Morbs. Don't know what the crack is. Like, it'll go. My period's probably due.
The Morbs. I did about the Morbs.
Yeah, the Morbs.
The Morbs, like melancholy.
But it's good because you can use that. Say you're fucking frightfully depressed and you don't know how to say, I am desperately depressed. Morbidly depressed.
It's a wee tongue-in-cheeky way.
You know, because if someone says they've got the Morbs, it sounds kind of fun. But you can actually go, ha ha, how are you?
Oh, God. Oh, I know. But
we usually put a wee emotional support, LOL, at the end of a statement like that. So it's like, I've got the Morbs, LOL.
I feel like doing myself in. LMAO.
LMAO. Laugh my fucking LMFAO.
LMFAO. You down. Isn't it weird though? Because I would say easily 10 years now we've talked about like mental health in the mainstream, and it's still nearly impossible to get taken seriously.
I think it's because we're living over here in post like Civil War Belfast, that a lot of trauma and like anxiety is just baseline, so it's dismissed. But for example, people who don't normally suffer with anxiety, if I could just even give them a wee fraction of mine, they would probably die. But we're just used to operating on that, you know.
It's like people with like long-term chronic pain, and they're just living with it, and they're getting on with their life. But if you, as you say, if you or I experienced that chronic pain, we wouldn't be able to get up off the floor.
We wouldn't be able to cope.
You know, it's just that wee tiny bit, but it's just, it's
become
normalised.
Desensitized, don't you?
You
do. Well, that's the same thing they say with olfactory. There's another word. Your sense of smell. with
your oil factory up your nose.
That's why they created those like little air fresheners to change over to different ones, because once you become accustomed to a smell, your brain is telling your body that it's not a threat anymore. So therefore you can put it to the back of the brain catalogue and you don't need to try and catalogue that smell anymore. And then you don't smell it, you go nose blind.
But do you ever, like, so in, obviously confidentiality, I can't go too much into my job or what's going on, but like sometimes you have to grant personal care to people.
Aye.
And you are cleaning poopsies.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is lingering in your nose. Is that the same whenever you're like changing babies' nappies?
Yeah.
You can go and you can put on a new...
You could get washed and all, but it's already up your nose.
It's in your nose brain.
Yeah. It's in your nose brain, yeah.
Isn't it?
It's kind of like if you know the way police officers will talk about smelling dead bodies and stuff. And like a lot of them will say, especially if it's a really bad case where there's a load of decomp, they can go home and shower and that smell still clings to them.
Yes.
But I can imagine it would be even worse with your nostrils, because like... Yeah, your nose brain.
Because the whole point of your smell is if it smells bad, don't eat it. If it smells bad, stay away from it. That's like your most
visceral, like sort of
primal lizard
instinct.
brain. Yeah. Stay away from this thing. It smells bad.
It smells bad, so it's going to make you ill.
Just stay away from it.
Do you know that it was actually during like the Napoleonic Wars that they only introduced that, like, don't shit where you eat. Don't do that, on the boats, because like basic hygiene came in because the army noticed that loads of people were dying.
Well, even like Florence Nightingale, right? So there's Florence Nightingale.
She was meant to be a cunt.
Well, what do you hear?
Oh,
because yes, I
This is herbal tea and also verbal tea.
Because I was at the same time as upper class white. English, Florence Nightingale. There was, I think, Mary Seacole, who was a black woman from I think like we would call it the Caribbean now, but like then, do you know what I mean? And she was living...
Or as the Americans call it, the Caribbean.
The Caribbean. And so she was living in London, and she was she was a nurse at the same time, but she had a far higher rate of survival because Florence Nightingale was never getting the idea of hygiene. If you look...
Was Florence Nightingale a dirty bitch? You heard it here first.
She was
Florence
a
Nightingale.
Shite under her nails.
Florence Nightingale had potatoes growing behind her ears.
3 days worth of sweat under her tits. Dirty
There was more life on her than there was in her.
Fucking Latin.
Absolutely,
but she couldn't get her head around this idea of clean water, whereas
not the sharpest tool in the box.
Mary Seacole was like, she had a higher rate of survival of the men that she looked after during like would that be Napoleonic Wars or Crimean War or whatever war that was. Historians, please correct me. But she was able, because she knew about things like hygiene, because she came from a hot country in which, like, like maybe tropical diseases and things would have been like, and they knew how like equally during the Black Death, the city of Warsaw was like a little haven because there were a lot of Jewish people, and because cleanliness is very much part of Judaism.
Yeah. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Cleanliness is next to godliness. It was like a wee haven of, there's very, very little death through bubonic plague in Warsaw. It was like a little oasis of health in the middle of a fucking stinking Europe, because everybody was just did not have that idea of cleanliness. But yeah, they don't know what to say. How did we get
dirty bitch,
dirty fucking
Florence
Victorians?
Nightingale.
And also, she looked down upon she looked down on Mary Seacole because she was like, oh well, you're a black person, so
in
you
order to be a
can't.
woman and nursing on the front line, you would have to have some social standing, I would say,
because you were sent out.
Yeah, you were sent. She's wanted to do that. It's like those women who don't have a job because their husbands earn money, but they like say that they work because they do charity. I'm not saying that isn't work, but where they like. No,
I know what you're saying. It's a wee bit like it's like women who are sort of like, they're looking for something to do, and so they become like do-gooders.
Yeah,
and that's, I think Florence Nightingale was that, and so this is, I find it. It's all, I suppose, like, please, if anybody has got like a better grasp and a more, more like a black British history, please send us a wee link or something about Mary Seacole, because I'm talking about things that I've read second hand. So like, she was a far better. So we keep talking about Florence Nightingale when we shouldn't. We should be talking about Mary Seacole and the big difference between her and Florence Nightingale is because she was black.
Yeah.
And
that's the reason we're not saying Mary C. Cole instead of Florence Nightingale.
we should be saying Mary C. Cole as because she had
as it is with many things.
She had like an understanding of like what herbs to use that were antiseptic, antibiotic, like things like honey is antiseptic.
Yeah.
It
is, and it's a great antioxidant.
And it was seen, but then it was seen as like, witchcraft or like voodoo or like, like sort of like savage religion. Yeah. And you're like, no, actually there's a basis in science because people are living.
Leaf and it's actually really antibacterial.
No, people are fucking throwing the aloe vera all over their faces and eating the cloves and eating the garlic. And whereas like in those days people were like, well, no, that's superstitious nonsense.
Yeah.
And you're like,
people
no.
used to think that like eating vegetables was peasantry.
Yeah.
Like who was it? Was it King? It was Henry VIII.
Henry VIII, he had like meat heavy diet.
Meat heavy, and they had all these big
wondered why he had
patches
gout
out the front of the garden, and he used to hate the vegetables.
His favourite dessert was a pint of white strawberries with fresh cream.
Really? Mm-hmm. Do you know that whenever he was in Zion House after he died, so Kurt's mum lives across the street from like Zion Park.
Right.
So the big house, Zion House, they kept his body there.
But it was stinking.
The dogs ate it. The dogs apparently
I would imagine the dogs must have been fucking starving because whenever he died, he had a hunting accident.
Mm-hmm. He was hunting pigs or
something. He was fucking hunting women.
Karma's gonna get you.
He had a wound in his leg that turned septic.
Septic, yes.
And it was stinking. There were like, there's like
maggots and all in it.
But there's like, records of people saying, just how like malodorous it was.
Mm.
And like it was a job to redress it.
Noisome. If you want to, we throw back to another episode of Word Up.
Doesn't that like sound nice though? Doesn't noisome sounds nice?
No, I think what you're thinking of a Dublin accent?
Noisome. But I think it reminds me of like noisette, which is like, hazelnut in French.
Yeah, noisette. You're a fucking noisette.
You're a nice kid. Words this way. But I would say Henry VIII did have the morbs towards the end of his life because he realised what a fucking, pardon my Francais, cunt. I think he probably. Like, if you ever listened about his life, he was such a cunt.
Of course he was.
He was never meant to be king though. It was meant to be his brother Arthur.
It takes generations and generations of inbreeding to produce that kind of cunt.
Do you know
what I mean? That's obviously he had never known poverty. He had never known it. Had everything.
They were a new dynasty.
Because there was the War of the Roses, wasn't there?
They were a new dynasty. So his grandfather was the first. Was grandfather, great grandfather? Historians, please correct me. Was the first Tudor. So the Tudor time only lasted like 105 years. So you're talking Henry VI, Henry VII, Henry VIII.
All the Henrys.
Edward, Lady Jane.
Yeah.
Who was for about 100 days. Mary, Tudor,
then
Elizabeth, and then
who
that
lasted
was it.
forever.
And then that was it. And then
I think Elizabeth's still alive.
She's still out there, fucking.
Still getting her hold.
But she's a virgin.
But she's a virgin.
She's
a wee bit like.
She's a virgin.
She was murdered with syphilis. Supposedly that's why she wore all that makeup. She had
smallpox.
Yeah.
And it ruined her visage because like that was that. Her visage.
That's what the wigs were all about too.
Yeah.
She was getting old.
Yeah.
So
I think she was riddled with a siph.
I do.
The all were.
Yeah.
I think, but
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. She loved a good.
Do you know that's where big wig comes from?
Big wig. The bigger the wig, the more money you had.
Yeah.
Bigger their hair, closer to God.
Closer to God.
But she,
like the royals had like syphilis and stuff. So then it might have been in France or something. But then they started wearing the powdered wigs because they were losing their hair and stuff, and then.
Everybody thought it was a trend.
And the pock marks, they would like fill them in and make a beauty spot.
Oh, fuck. Is that why they did that?
That's a big pock mark because you've got cowpox, you've had smallpox.
I mean, that should be utilitarian. You could at least serve soup out of that.
Oh, jeez. Dip.
Like, absolutely.
Salsa.
Yeah, fucking spoon.
Yeah, fucking. Your pores are that big, you could serve dip in it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That would give me the Morbs. I would not marry in, not that I would ever have a fucking chance because I'm the biggest, scoundrel. But you know that whole...
Scoundrel! You scoundrel, you scallywag!
There's another... I love saying scoundrel. Because it's just, you're a scoundrel.
I love the word...
But I wouldn't marry into royalty.
You know the Irish word skitter?
I love skitter.
He's a skitter.
And you have to do... It can't be skitter.
Skitter.
It's skitter.
Because skitter is the sound of that. That's a skitter.
Aye.
Whereas skitter, he's a skitter.
He's a wee skitter.
And
means he's always up to something.
He's a wee...
He's always skittering along.
What would you say? Like a wee imp. He's not a bad one.
Aye.
But he's devil. He's got devilment in his eyes.
My granny always called me a wee skitter. And so did my granny. Ours are a wee skitter goat get.
Wee skitter.
Get their goat get. Sorry, I burped.
I had a wee burp at the same time. We had a wee
Did you?
Dolby surround burp.
Dolby surround sound. Folly a do.
Folly a do.
Yeah, folly a
Folly a
do. You need a running?
So, and we are having a very nice, light-hearted conversation about it, which I think is very important.
Yes.
Because we need.
We don't want to give you the fucking Morbs.
We don't give you the Morbs, but it is very important that we talk about it in a light-hearted mood because it can't be this.
It could be mama model how you should have a conversation with your friend about your depression. Well, David, how are you?
Well, here I'm at the end of my rope.
How are
About
you?
to jump off the roof. LOL.
Fuck, at least you're at the end of your rope. I don't even have a rope. What are you on about?
You'd have a rope.
If I had a rope, I'd do something bad with it. Do you know what I'm saying? I have the Morbs.
Okay, the Morbs.
Yeah.
But here.
Generational trauma, it's all good.
But here.
What?
Tell us. How have you been kidding?
I'm
Opening the
alright.
door. Open the door.
To be honest, lately, you know, I just need to get something up. Do you see what I mean?
Open it up and do talk do. Because it is crap. See, whenever you
Often
are in
people
that,
make light of shit situations, but essentially they're opening the door for a conversation about it. You
that
know?
is how we do it. I think in this country, you know what I mean. We do, and I think as well. Like, don't underestimate how much your friends and family love you.
Oh,
Don't underestimate it because, like, there's people. You know what I mean. I feel very, very blessed with the people I have around me, and it was only whenever I always loved them and I always knew that I had them in my life, but it was only whenever I was really scraping bottom mental health wise that I could feel the hands that were keeping me up.
aye.
And I know who those people are, and I will never, like, I just have love. I sell them. You know, they say you're the love of your life, but I don't have. Alan is the love of my life, but I also have loves of my life who are my friends, and
Same.
they are the loves of. I do tell them. I go, you are the loves of my life, because you are. You know, you were there, and I think, you know, if you are in a situation where you have the Morbs, or, you know, mega Morbs,
I love it.
get your mega Morbs.
Get the mega Morbs.
Get your mega Morbs.
Get a premium Morb.
A Pokemorb.
A Pokemorb.
A Pokemorb. But yeah, you know, like go and get your people.
Morban freedom.
Morban freedom.
Morbin Freeman.
We put Morb on your plate. I want some Morb.
Now we're getting into the swear down shit.
We are.
Would you like to hear this week's
Swear down,
motherfucker?
Oh my God.
Right. So, in keeping with last week's theme of giving you swear down words that you would probably already use,
But
or
didn't
hopefully
know, but misunderstood where it came from.
misunderstood where it came from. Did you know that bimbo was a masculine word?
Bimbo. Now, anybody who is like knows stuff about like romance languages would know that anything, most, not all, but generally, if it ends in an O, it's a masculine word. So, Bronagh, take it away.
If you were to genuinely call a woman a bimbo, you should be calling her a bimba. You're a bimba. But bimbo was originally in use to describe a child, a boy child, or a boy. Then, whenever it was sort of
19th century.
1920s America,
1920s America.
it started to be used in terms of like a silly man.
He's a bimbo.
He's a bimbo. He can't get anything right. You know, what a bimbo.
Aye.
And then naturally progression happens where all the fucking misogyny comes in.
And
And
of course.
therefore bimbo becomes like almost exclusively, you know, to do with women.
A blonde woman. Because a
blonde
bimbo,
woman.
whenever you think of a bimbo now, you think of a blonde
woman.
skinny woman who's daft.
Yeah, who doesn't have a brain in her head.
Yeah. Whereas really it was a male word. And it's weird because we were saying this, like, so bimbo, the male equivalent in the 21st century is a himbo. But that's weird because it's kind of gone full circle because you don't need himbo.
You don't need himbo.
Because
You just
bimbo
need
is a
the
man.
original word.
You say a
I'm
bimba.
going to start calling people bimbos, men, only men, just to get that across because it'll be nice. I think they'll like that.
A wee
they?
bimbo. Shut up, you bimbo.
Shut up, you bimbo.
Yeah, a himbo. And even himbo doesn't feel, because a himbo
Doesn't feel like an insult.
No.
No, they need to get the feeling of the
himbos-
insult that women have been getting for 100 years.
Because
We
if
need
you-
to tell you you're bimbos.
Because a himbo is probably good looking
Aye.
and stupid. So there's still that
Yeah,
sort of like,
that's
oh,
true.
you're good looking, you don't need to be clever.
Yeah.
Whereas like bimbo is dismissive.
Yeah, it is dismissive. It doesn't necessarily describe the way you're looking. If you're saying
a
it to a
fucking
man,
bimbo.
you go, he's a fucking bimbo.
Whereas like I imagine whenever
And
we
it
were
makes
talking
sense.
about bimbo back in whenever it was used in its original sense, it's like, oh, isn't he a bit of a bimbo? Like he's a bit of a
But it was originally like, used to be like, oh, look at the bimbo.
It's like Bambino.
Wee bambino, wee bimbo, wee baby boy.
Wee baby boy, wee Bambino.
know?
Bambino
So there
is
you go.
Bambino's like a toddler. Like that, because you've got like
I know
baby.
a bambino is the...
So Bambino is a wee boy. Who, like they can walk at this point.
Yeah.
Bambino, Bambina. Bambini, Bambini.
Bambini, bambini.
Bambini,
Who would you call a bimbo?
Who would I call a bimbo? Oh my goodness. See,
That Joey Essex.
he's a bimbo.
He's a bimbo. But is
Joey
that put
Essex
on,
is a
or do you think
bimbo.
he's a true bimbo?
I think he is.
Yeah.
I remember he was on a program and they asked him like, "Who is Jesus? Who was Jesus' mommy?" And he was like, "Oh, Beezus." And you're like, "What? What?
Did he
What?
just try to like feminize?
Feminize Jesus? Jesus?
Jesus. He didn't even have the sense to use an A at the end.
Jesusina?
And his daddy was Jesu.
Jesu?
Jesu. I don't know who made this baby.
Jesu!
Forgive me.
That's in Scotland. In Scotland, they'll say, "Oh, Jesu."
Do they?
Jesu.
Jesu.
Jesu, what time? Oh, Jesu, what time's that? Better be going. Oh, Jesu.
That was another thing, but Joey Essex couldn't have said that because apparently he didn't know how to tell the time off a clock.
No.
Yeah, he's trying to
I do genuinely
That
think.
is the dyslexia thing, though. A lot of dyslexic people
Is that
find it difficult.
dyscalculia? So there's like dyslexia, which is lax like dyslexic
Yeah.
reading.
And then the other one's numbers.
Dyscalculia is number. I wouldn't say I had either, but I had a real aversion to numbers whenever I was younger.
I think it's because they bored you.
It did.
That's the way it was with me.
I was bored.
I fucking hated them.
I gave them all personalities, the numbers personalities.
Did you?
I gave them genders.
What gender is the number 9?
A girl.
Is it? Yeah, it's quite...
A girl. Whereas
Number 1's a boy, isn't it?
no wonder one's a girl.
Is it?
It's a girl.
What's number 4?
A girl.
Who's the boys?
2, 3, 5, 6, 8.
I would say 8's a girl. Has to be a woman
See,
with boobs.
but
and
see, in my head, 8's not a number on its own. 8's 5 and 3. And they're both boys.
Right, okay. Oh, fuck, you've really thought about this! Jesus Christ, please sponsor David £5 a week so that he can keep his
So I can get an autism assessment.
Yeah.
4's a girl. She's a number on her own.
So what about a 4 to 4?
Is 8.
8 is the man.
It's a
That's
man.
why he's-
But 8's not 4 and 4 in my head. 8's 5 and 3.
Wait, what?
And Sean's just joined us. What? Hold on.
still
It's also because you've got a wee bit
Oh.
of, also got like a wee bit of mad scientist hair at the side of your head there. So it looks like you've run under the room like real. What?
Usins, tell me this. Have you seen Sean's photo? Where he doesn't have any trousers on in it?
Are you mixing him up with Sammy Wilson?
No, there's a... Sean is our Sammy Wilson.
You should.
He went to Nicole's graduation and no cakes. Like,
I have to say now, I have not seen this photograph, but
Will
I
you
would
show
argue that Sean has got a nicer bum than Sammy Wilson, which looks like a shootout in the fucking, the bread
Jesus
wick at the
Christ.
back-ouch.
Yeah.
Fucking.
It looks like he ran across a firing range, didn't it?
It looks like he doesn't have so much of an arse as just a bullet hole in his back. Do you know what I mean? Oh, yes.
Will you show the camera?
Can we edit that in?
I'll edit it in. Easy, wee naked legs.
It does.
And
That
somebody
was-
wrote underneath it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Why are you not
They were
wearing
like-
trousers?
They were like, Jesus blesses, I thought Sean wasn't wearing any trousers.
Did they go in the bin or what?
God bless.
I wear them on occasion.
Do you? Right.
Occasions
They
you
are
want to look-
nice trousers, just as an unfortunate
occasions
fact
that you want to look like you're
photograph
not
turned
wearing
out.
trousers.
I think it's because it's the pairing with the grey coat. Mm-hmm. And it's just an unfortunate angle because the crease in the trouser looks a bit blue, so it looks like a big Vargas vein or something.
Let me see it again. I must see this once more. Oh yeah.
Honey, look, you do. You look like you've got big.
You've got saggy. You're like a man that's lost too much weight too quickly, and he needs to have that skin.
That saggy knee.
Yeah, the saggy knee with the wee Vargas vein.
Saggy knee.
Granny.
Saggy. Oh, no.
That photograph is brilliant.
She's got-
Did you see the video of the guy on a stag being held down and the big fat woman jumping all over him and she leaves a shit stain on his face? I watched, right?
Do you know what? So the pot jerky's being taken down a wee bit. She was doing her bit. She was doing her bit
For the cause.
For the cause.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're a
I
man
actually
on a,
felt really
She was
bad
doing
for the
her
guy,
bit
'cause
with
it
her
looked-
slit.
It did look.
what did you say?
She was doing her bit with her slit.
With her shit. It was all over his lip.
Shot in a fella's face. He went on.
Oh, fuck. Shot on the back of your granny's head. Did it twice to make sure she was dead.
Oh my God. Could people coming in to see the body? Somebody shaking your head?
Is that body smelling already? I thought it was embalmed. No, that's Johnny.
That's Johnny. He held an awful grudge.
Yeah.
She just inherited him, so he came in
my
and
said
shit
the
in her
weirdest thing she
coffin.
ever seen was she went to a funeral and the corpse had its glasses on. And she was like, why the fuck is he wearing glasses? And this is my ma, but you know, she would just say something. She wouldn't go away and talk about you. She's a cheeky cunt, not a sneaky
She'll
cunt.
not talk about you. She'll come up to your front door.
She was like, why is he wearing glasses? That's fucking annoying. I was like, oh, Daddy always wore his glasses, but he doesn't look the same with it. I was like,
I get
and
that.
I said to Mummy, fair enough. And she was like, well, I just thought it was fucking strange because if he'd opened his eyes, the fucking room would have been empty in 2 seconds. I was like, right, fair enough.
And if he opened his eyes, somebody needed to go to fucking jail because
I can see clearly now my brain is dead.
I can see your sister moves out of the way. I can see clearly now. Lorraine has gone.
I've told you that before, haven't I?
Yeah.
I used to get slagged in school because coming from the Irish school, I couldn't say words with TH properly. I still sort of can't.
That's right, you do the wee l.
So like,
Le Chapper.
certain words
Yes.
change. So like the material on the shoes is,
Leather.
but I would have said ladder. Like
Ladder.
So
as in
soft,
like a ladder.
soft TH
You have
becomes,
issues with the wee soft
And
TH.
soft TH
then-
becomes L and hard TH becomes F.
Yeah, and then the as in like THE.
Say thank you for thinking of me.
Thank you for thinking of me.
Thank you
So-
for thinking of me.
Thinking.
You tried so hard with the first one,
I
and then
know.
the thinking slipped through.
Thank you for thinking of me.
Thank you for being a friend.
Like THE became
Oh,
LE.
Ellie. He's French.
He's
French.
He's French.
Lorraine.
So,
Le baguette
Le baguette
in the baguette shop.
in
so
Le
I remember
baguette.
one time in school, I turned around and went. So I set fire to the rain.
To Lorraine.
Somebody went, "Who's Lorraine?" And then I never lived it down again.
Stop it. Did you get called Lorraine walking about? I'm Lorraine Kelly.
Set fire
It used
to
to be
Lorraine.
la 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 la. Like,
We all laughed as she screamed in pain.
See,
Let it burn, then ran way home and got
see
rid
the way you
of
used to
the
have to take
evidence.
turns in English class, like who like done the reading of like whatever book you were reading.
And
at
you
the
just went
moment.
right in turns.
They used to try and like strategically place me in the room so that I would get
Loads of THs.
loads of THs.
That
and
is
I'd be
beautiful.
bastards.
I just love children for that.
Who will play Thelonious?
And then
Who will play Thelonious in the play? Sean.
Do I consent to it? Very lovely.
Biggest dickus.
It's like that episode of Only Fools and Horses where she gets up to do the karaoke and then
Wait.
Waiting.
Yep.
Weighty and wet.
Walkin' wobbin.
Walking wobbin.
Walkin' wobbin.
crying.
Crying.
The funniest I remember
Yes,
being
oh
a
my
kid
God, I
on
have
and
such-
watching TV and somebody talking to Jonathan Ross, and it was back whenever you really couldn't say his
Oh.
R's. And he was like, I'm always saying to Mrs. R, and somebody went, don't you mean Mrs. W? And
Have you ever seen,
and you know what? It wasn't long after that he went and got that fucking fixed.
have you ever
So,
seen his wife?
Yeah, she's like, she's an animator.
she's
she
a
makes
she's
comics
a
and stuff.
she's a screenwriter.
Oh, is she?
She wrote. I think she might have written one of
How to Train Your
the X-Men movies.
Oh, did she? I think she was involved in How to Train Your Dragon
She
as well.
has
I don't know why that's coming in.
Jane Goldsmith, Jane Goldman, beautiful, also gorgeous,
Is she?
also
Well,
gorgeous. She's very like booby voluptuous woman, and she's
Yeah.
like properly beautiful woman.
Do you reckon
Like
Jonathan Ross has
Maybe
a massive
considered-
ding-dong?
I think probably. I did. Jonathan Ross was good looking. I think Jonathan and continues to be because if you think about it, like I think he's an attractive
He's not a
man.
bad looking man, like, yeah. Do you ever notice that, like, we do that over here? Rather than give someone a compliment, it's like, not bad looking.
He's not bad looking.
Right, remember we covered that as well?
I said that. I remember. I think I said this was my Auntie Mona. God rest her. I love my Auntie Mona. She's my Auntie Mona was like looking at her dog one day, and she went, "I think that dog has Down syndrome." And we were like,
Did we Google this? Can dogs get Down syndrome?
cats can, and lions can, but I don't know about dogs.
I got a cat scan last year.
Cat scan.
Way, way.
Did they find your brain?
Went for heart surgery. It's definitive. He has one.
Yeah, that's what I said after Pops went in for his operation and stuff, I used to go, fuck, I didn't know you had one.
To defend yours.
Where did I put the stint in?
Up your hole. But there was...
Did a wee stint inside?
We
Know what I'm saying?
But my Auntie Mona says to me once, she says to me, David, you're not a bad looking wee fella, but you went through an awful curse stage.
Curse. Did that give you the morbs?
It did, for us thinking, but what the Lord giveth, he
Not
can
a
taketh
bad
away.
looking. Like, couldn't have even said to you, David, you're a gorgeous child. But you did go through a wee bit of a...
You went through a curse stage.
Gangly
You
stage,
were,
but you're beautiful,
You're
you
a
know.
good looking wee fella now, but you were awful ugly for a stage there.
But she didn't even
Went
say
through-
good looking. She said not bad
You weren't a
looking.
bad
Do
looking
you
fella.
know?
You went through your larval stage.
Your larval. I was a
ugly.
pupil in school, and I
Pupil in
was very
school.
depressed at the time.
The morbs.
I had the morbs all day long. Yes.
But you
the
weren't a
morbs.
bimbo. You were very educated.
But I was not a bimbo.
So use it correctly.
Use it correctly and don't give yourself the morbs. Thank you very much. And tell
You're a wee granny.
I was asking about it.